Hey Peyton, nice to see you again on this beautiful day. This time with a quote by our beloved spiritual teacher Jack Cornfield. He says, "Give up hope for a new past." Do you have any ideas on that quote, Peyton? Please share them
Abs-
with us.
Absolutely. Yeah, what a wonderful pointer. Very succinct and pointing at something that is an ever-present balance that we need to find within our own mind in the world. One thing that's easy for us to forget and definitely conditioned in us the wrong way is that it is completely futile to resist the reality that has occurred in the past. Every single thing that has ever happened up to 2 seconds ago is now totally set. It's totally done. We can never reach into the past and change something. Nothing can ever be any other way than exactly how it was for us in our reality. The past is set. The past is reality. The past is back there. We can never, ever, ever, ever go back and change something in the past. We literally cannot do it. But despite this, a ton of us, myself included, spend actually a lot of time wishing things in the past were different than how they are. I wish I wouldn't have broke my ankle. I wish I wouldn't have done this decision. I wish I wouldn't have made this call yesterday and messed this thing up. I wish this other person wouldn't have responded this way. I wish this other person wouldn't have said or done this thing. I wish that this, I wish that that, I wish that this, I wish that this bad thing wouldn't have happened to me. I wish that this good thing would have happened to me. All the time, if we're not paying attention, our mind is going to enter right back into lamenting reality and fighting against reality and struggling against reality. And if we pay attention, we can see that how do these negotiations go when we actually do really try to struggle against something that happened in the past? Has this ever produced good fruit one time for us in our entire life? This futile exercise of wishing that something that already happened had happened differently. Has that ever benefited us in our situation? Has it ever empowered us to deal with our present situation better? Has it ever cleared our mind? Has it ever given us more power? It hasn't. In fact, the past is always, by definition, 100% of the time, always, every single time we've ever struggled against it, it has been futile. It has been outside of our control. We've never succeeded in changing something that's happened in the past. And fixating on the past and trying to resist the reality of the past, imagining and longing for and craving for a counterfactual where we were in some imaginary universe where things played out a different way, where this chance encounter, where this unlucky strike occurred, we are always wasting our energy on this. And it's painful to accept the past, of course. Like a lot of times, things don't happen according to our wishes, but it is always futile. We are always wasting our energy when we do this. And there's a saying, I think it's Dale Carnegie, that says we have a circle of control. And when we fixate on things that are outside of the circle of control and we try to manipulate them, our circle of control shrinks. We are disempowered. Our energy is siphoned away at this futile exercise and no longer is accessible to us to the degree that we spend it on resisting something that's outside of our control. But when we recognize what's within our control, when we focus within the circle grows. And that is a fundamental concept of, obviously, it applies to more things that are outside of our control than just the past, but it always applies to the past. It always applies to the past. There's never a time when the past is within our control. It has never come up for any of us one single time. But yet, this is a way that we spend our attention and our energy every single day. I wish this person was here. I wish this person had come. I wish this thing was different. I wish I didn't catch this sickness. I wish I didn't go out to that party last night. I wish I didn't say that thing that actually made me look bad yesterday. I wish I didn't do this or that thing. I wish I would have done this. All these things, they're always outside of our control by rule. This is something that absolutely is a habit that most of us have and most of us are conditioned to have and most of us are reminded to have. And most people will be reminded of this on a regular basis. Somebody will come up and be like, oh man, I wish that that person wouldn't have rear-ended you and now your car's dented. And now if I adopt this, if I take that stimulus and react to it in the same way and get myself wrapped around the axle like, oh shit, my car is dented. It looked so good. I wish this was another way. I'm wasting my energy and I'm not going to get that energy back. That energy is taken from me and also limits my ability to actually manipulate what is within my control, within the present, within the now, that can have a different impact in the future. And so this is a core concept that's very simple. It's not abstract to us, or it's not far or hard to convince us that actually the past is outside of our control. But yet, despite the fact that we all know this on some level, all of us forget this on a regular basis. And the degree to which we can maintain an awareness of, oh yeah, that's in the past. The only thing there is to do with it is see it, learn if there's some cause and effect understanding that will benefit from me in the future. Of course, I want to take the learnings and understand that, take it into account when I make future decisions or when I'm anticipating future risks and opportunities. However, the only thing for us to do is see it, be aware of it, and accept it. And everything else that we try to do beyond that, every time that we try to negotiate with it, every time that we try to argue with it, every time that we try to struggle against it, we are always categorically 100% of the time, without exception ever, wasting our energy and our efforts. And our energy is something that we can use for a lot of stuff. We can use it to improve our own lives. We can use it to improve the lives of others. We can use it to manifest our vision. We can use it to become happier. We can use it to make others happier. There's a lot of good stuff that you can trade energy in for. And so we don't want to waste it on resisting the past. And that's something that we do a lot. And we're reminded to do a lot. And we're told to do a lot. And so our ability to stay lucid, to ride our own wave, and to bring in awareness of, oh, hey, I'm tempted to lament this thing that already happened. That's not a good idea. That is a dead end, and it is guaranteed to be a dead end because that thing is in the past. It's not going to change, and I can't negotiate with it. It's a useful reminder, and it's something for us to kind of integrate, and it's a dance for us to dance. It's something for us to kind of keep in our mind and just to pay attention to the cause and effect when we slip into this, because that can help us to become more and more clear on the true path that this will lead us down when we follow it. What are your thoughts on the past and accepting it versus not accepting it, and the ways that we can kind of keep that on our mind more and more practically on a daily basis?
Well, you mentioned a lot of great reminders like that it is way out of our control, and it is a rule that the past is out of our control. And then with all the energy in the world, we could not change the past because time travel does not really exist. Even if you had all the energy of the world, like you cannot just reverse the arrow of time. It is a given fact. And to deal with the reality, as you mentioned as well, often is painful. The acceptance of things that you wish to be different, but already have happened in a different way, is painful. And so you try to not like lose everything psychologically so that you have still a kind of stability, and so you cling on the past, but this only helps you so far in the moment. And this grabbing onto the past, in fact, holds you back if you want to progress in life, if you want to evolve. The past is like an anchor. Clinging on the past is like an anchor that holds you back. And so it's a balance to find, as you said. And this beautiful reminder from Jack Cornfield to give up hope for a new past. It's a very beautiful and wise advice, in my opinion, because it's not judging that, oh, you definitely should not dwell on the past and you should not live in the future and so on. It's not judging in that way, but it's like encouraging that there is no hope. So don't feed the hope. You don't need to hope for something to change whatever it already happened. It is like the invitation to accept that it already happened and to accept the pain that comes with it, accepting that you cannot change the thing that already happened. And to drop the illusion which you held so dearly and which helped you kind of survive through the moments of this immense pain, to mitigate the pain so that you at least survive in that moment. And there's no judgment. It's just give up the hope so that you can rebalance yourself and go forward, evolve with the pain you experience then. Because if you experience the pain for what it is, then you can at least reflect upon it. And you can maybe improve the way you handle it or improve the way you make your decisions. Or you can even find some meaning in dropping the hope for something to change in terms of, oh, you don't know whether it really in the ultimate end was good or bad. Don't judge it because you don't know it. Because maybe in midst of all the chaos, so many new opportunities opened up which never could have opened up before. It is just this flower that you can let bloom if you don't hold it back anymore. If you shed some light on it, if you shine some awareness of it on it so that you can really accept what happened and that the opportunities can bloom and you can really look into the future. It's actually an invitation to change your mind, to change the mindset you have when dealing with problems that arose in the past, when dealing with situations which you ruminate upon. It is like the invitation to let go, to accept, and not resist what already happened anymore, to really rebalance yourself towards the present moment and focus on what is and how to deal with that instead of trying to change something which is not under your control anymore. And instead of trying to use your precious energy and waste it like that. Yeah, man. Any thoughts?
Yeah, and I'm reminded as well that what is not outside of our control is changing our relationship with the past. And so the actual events, the actual memories, the actual things that occurred back then in this past time that we actually can't touch or access or hold or sense with any of our direct senses now outside of our memory, these things are over there. And the degree to which they impact the present largely has to do with what's between our ears, what's up in our head, how we are relating to the memories of the things in our past. Are we constantly gripped by regret to the point that we are debilitated? Are we having a fundamental relationship with our experience, past, present, and future, where we are approaching it with the posture of, I am slicing this up into pieces. I'm not treating this as one giant whole, which is the nature of reality. It is all one gestalt. It is past and future are connected, and it's one big picture where nothing can be removed, nothing can be taken out. We can't have everything here except for my the tumor in my left kidney. We can't have everything here except that my second cousin got hit by a car a month ago. We can't have everything here except for this war going on across the world. We can't have everything here except for this piece, this piece, this piece. I want this thing to be changed. I wish this thing was different. I wish this event didn't happen. All of this stuff, this is mental exercise where we're fundamentally deluding ourselves about the nature of reality. We live in this one vast experience, this one reality, this one gestalt. This present moment contains everything that it contains, including whatever memories are popping up into our heads, whatever fantasies about the future, whatever sensory experience we currently have, the thoughts and mental activities that are superimposing over a sensory experience. It is a gestalt. There is no removing this one piece. There is no dividing in reality. We are actually setting ourselves in opposition to reality to the extent that we take this posture toward our experience. Obviously, this doesn't preclude having intentions, having desires, having things that we do to intentionally and with calculation or with emotion move toward whatever we are trying to manifest in the world. It doesn't change the actual nature of our movement, our energy, our activity. However, the degree to which we can see that, okay, there is cause and effect, and I am an embodied creature moving through this one reality. However, there is nothing that I can slice up about this. There is no removing this one piece of reality. There is no actual cutting it up, dicing it up. I want the whole past, except I want this one event to have been different in my past. I want this whole past, except I don't want to have made this decision that I regret that has gotten me into a challenging spot in the present. I want this whole past, except I don't want this one thing that embarrasses me from when I was a kid to be there, or this one thing that I botched a relationship when I was at this stage to be there, or whatever. I wish I would have said this one thing to this one person before they died and I really regret it. All of these things are a futile effort. These are a waste of energy. These are separating ourselves and cutting ourselves off from reality. These are fundamentally causing us to be lower energy, less happy, more disconnected, and feel this divided self conflict and fundamental struggle of ego, this samsara, this resistance, this unhappiness that many of us experience a large part of the time. We do have much more agency over our relationship with reality than we are often conditioned to believe, than we are often tempted to believe. But we have so much less agency over changing anything in the past than you would be led to believe by most people's relationship with it and the relationship that they will spill out of their mouth toward you. You don't have to pick that up. You don't have to embody this resistance and this struggle and this fight against the past, but it's going to be constantly thrown back up in your face. And this applies to short-term stuff and long-term stuff. This applies to the big life decision I made 3 years ago. This applies to the conversation I had 2 days ago where I wasn't my best self and my combative side came out and I was blind to my own behavior and I wasn't acting according to my values. This applies to the decision I made 3 minutes ago on whether or not I chose this thing to order or this thing to order. This applies to the missed opportunity I had for a conversation with somebody that ended up going the wrong way 5 years ago. This applies to everything that is in the past. And when we can bring a better sense of reality, a better sense of, okay, this is just one whole. I'm finding myself right here. And I am actually going to live from awareness and bring my energy to manifest whatever vision I see given where I am at right now. We will be far more empowered to flow through it. And honestly, the good and the bad of reality are just projections. They are just labels that we put on things. They are this myopic, individualized, hyper solipsistic point of view that we are commonly tempted to take on by our ego that is fundamentally this constructed defense mechanism and struggling nature that most of us are conditioned to bring to our experience, but it doesn't serve us in the end. This is what causes us to feel disconnected and separate and disempowers us and makes us more fragile, makes us more rigid, less flexible, less flowy. And when we can connect with reality on reality's terms, when we can learn to understand that good and bad is not real, there is just this, there is just reality, there is this present moment, there is the now. All things are exactly as they are. And what is good to me is bad to another person. What is bad to another person may seem good to me. This thing that is really painful in the short term may be what causes great abundance and prosperity in the long term. This thing that looks like a huge blessing right now, winning the lottery may in fact be exactly what somebody wants and exactly what rips them apart from all the people they love and their family and leads them to a life of addiction and suffering and a lot of times mental illness and early death. And that is exactly true, actually, in reality. Many of the things that we want, we actually don't understand the long-term consequences of because they're unforeseeable. Many of the things that we don't want, we also don't understand that they are for our long-term benefit. And when we look to our past, we can see that this is true. When we look to other people we know and their past and future, or their past and present, we can see that this is true. But yet, it is so easy to forget as we get fixated on what I want, how I want to cut up reality, and the things that I want to take out and change, and the things that I wish was different, the things that I wish will be this way, the things that I want to control. This posture toward experience can disempower us if we enable it to, and it's constantly going to be reminded to us. And so staying lucid about the reality of our condition, the reality of reality, the whole gestalt of the past, present, and future that we actually do find ourselves within, and an acceptance of how much is without outside of our control, including obviously everything that happened more than 0 seconds ago. This can enable us to actually have a different way of being where we can find peace amongst turmoil. We can find peace amongst volatility. We can find acceptance, even though definitely we didn't always get everything we want. Definitely if we're being honest, a part of us does want to divide up reality and call this good and call this bad and separate this out and change this one thing but leave everything else the same. But that's not how it works. And if we can have a clearer relationship that's based on truth, that's based on reality, that's based on a flow of us within the actual real universe and not some fantasy land of us kind of trying to superimpose our opinion on reality, we are going to actually flow through the world so much better without all the baggage. So that's an aspiration I have that I oftentimes forget about. Even this week, I've forgotten about this many times. And so just a useful reminder, a useful reframe on our circumstance that I hope to embody more and more and get pulled away from less and less over time. But of course, it is going to happen this way and that way. And I'm just going to do my best to accept all of this as we go along. Any closing thoughts from you, my man, on the past, present, and future and our locus of control?
And there was some interesting points you brought up, especially one triggered my thinking was like the good and the bad is only myopic, and judging good or evil in this world is just short-sightedness. Just accept the reality as it is, and see the bigger picture. Maybe see the world from a bird's eye view and see the mechanisms behind everything. And even if it's hurtful to see and watch how things unfold, even if it's painful to the max, it is reality as it unfolds itself and the mechanisms behind it and so on. And trying to resist the big evil in the world is very futile, in my opinion, because you judge and you try to change something, but you don't see that maybe you are another source of suffering then as well, or another source of evil for other people. So this kind of judging good and bad versus trying to find the truth, or at least not being too wrong and trying to be less wrong from time to time, is also some inspiration that I have. Not really saying, oh, you are a bad person because you don't follow these rules, or hey, oh, yeah, this guy is an evil person because he tries to help people at scale, but the scale actually induces more harm, whatever. This kind of thinking is also kind of like an anchor into the unconscious suffering that we all have, and judging, resisting, and not accepting, basically, and falling out of balance when we judge the world with our short-sighted view. And also the reminder of giving up hope for a new past, um, that makes me think of that, okay, we don't need to wish or hope for a new path, because hope is a futile strategy. But we can also just use the energy in reinterpreting the past in a way that maybe we don't understand it yet. The anti-myopic view, like the not short-sighted view of it, but the far-sighted view of it, seems to point towards, hey, maybe that was not good or bad, what happened. Maybe it's just a long chain of events which unfold away, which in the end will benefit or harm, whatever. You don't know it actually, and but you can find meaning in it if you really actively engage in the process of trying to create meaning out of it, and believe that the dots, when you look back, the dots will connect, and the thing that you experienced in the past that you wish for now differently, but which you experienced, the thing points toward, only through this thing another thing could happen, and therefore you can find the meaning and connect the dots looking back, and you can reinterpret your past, and that is as well as good as changing your past without the need to really change it. You just attach a different story, a story of meaning to it, and you are free to do that. And if you want to be psychologically more stable or safe, if you want to be more connected and loving with other people, And if you want to belong somewhere, to a tribe or to your family, you better make use of your ability to tell stories which re-engage the things that happened in the past in a way which gives them meaning, and meaning towards the connection you have now with your family and friends, or with the tribe you want to belong to. So you have the superpowers already in your hand, but if you let these stories unconsciously rule the way you think about it, then you won't have any control over it, and you cannot change the past. We already clarified that up to a point, but you can reinterpret the meaning of what happened to you in the past, so that you can think differently about your present circumstances, and which also help you to navigate the challenges you have, so you can let go of wishing the past differently. Just connect the meaning you have, you want to give to it.
Yeah, wonderful thoughts. And I'm reminded once again that obviously, there's great reasons people have to wish the past were different. There's great reasons. If I was sitting here with zero eyeballs and both of them had gotten stabbed by somebody a month ago, it'd be a lot harder for me to just say, hey, the past is the past, outside of my control. If I had lost both my legs 3 years ago because of something that wasn't my fault or some freak accident or whatever, it'd be a lot harder to accept the past. And that is reality. Like, there's people who have endured incredible hardship, incredible suffering, incredible tragedy and bad luck and bad chance, and it may happen to us in the future in various ways. We've all had various forms of bad luck in our past and things that we're tempted to resist. And there's great reasons, great excuses, great justifications for opposing reality, for opposing the past, for setting ourselves fixated on trying to change things that are fundamentally and permanently and inevitably outside of our control. It's completely understandable. It's completely societally conditioned. There's every excuse, every justification in the world to do this for a lot of people. However, it still won't make it helpful. This is a single player game. If we are constantly pitting ourselves in opposition to reality, we won't win. And it won't feel good. And it won't help us to manifest a better future. We do have to see that this is a single player game within our minds. Actually living and riding this wave, finding peace, finding connection, all of these things really will change our experience of the world. They really will make the difference in what it is like to be us. Our relationship with our reality can be one of fighting and opposition and struggle and pain and self-torture and true samsara that we are drowning in and tied up in and trapped in within our minds. That is a place where a lot of people land, and it's completely understandable. It is so understandable how cause and effect leads people that way. And I have a lot of just clear sight of how that path has led so many people down. And at the same time that I understand it, at the same time that we all can see how understandable it is, how reasonable it is, how justified it is, how many good reasons there are and excuses for following down that path, it is not helpful for anybody, even the people that it is the most justified for. And so this is at the same time that it is a tough thing for us to integrate, and there's a lot of reasons to fight against an acceptance of reality. It is helpful, healing, nourishing, and necessary for all of us to come to a healthy and accepting relationship with our own reality and all of the reality that we find within it. And it's an aspiration that is definitely challenging for a lot of us. And so it's something to look for, to orient ourselves for, to hold the attention for, but also to have an understanding that none of us are going to be perfect on our journey with this. All of us are going to go forward and back. And for some of us, this is a much harder first person game to play. And so all of this is true. It's very useful, practical stuff. And it's definitely something that I am looking to grow in. Definitely something that I'm looking to bring more awareness to this week. So I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on this, man. Wonderful conversation. And I will see you next week.
Appreciate you too, man. See you next week.
Bye bye.